What's up everyone, Piscean here. We are going to do a video going over this extensive birth chart rectification for Fefe Dobson. She was born February 28th, 1985 in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. The time is of course unknown because this is a video to help you learn astrology here. We're going to look at that rectification. Really quick, I want to shout out Report Lab for helping craft this PDF. We know that no verified birth time exists for Fefe Dobson. All proposed times, angles, and interpretive statements are hypothetical working models for pedagogical demonstration only. They must not be treated as definitive. Natal data, album, and song analysis will be used. And we're going to use Noon Solar Planetary Framework plus Illustrative Angular Hypothesis. Faculty must emphasize provisional status when teaching. So this is an educational working document for advanced astrology faculty. Multi-technique rectification methodology and event correlation. Appendices will be album by album and song by song astrological analysis, so stay tuned. So the theoretical foundations here and data integrity. We see chart rectification reconstruction unknown birth time by correlating major biographical events with the movement of the angles, ascendant midheaven, descendant IC in the moon. Angles advance 1 degree every 4 minutes, therefore primary direction, solar arcs, secondary progressions, and outer planet transits to angles form the core toolkit. Confidence increases when independent techniques converge on the same narrow window. So source notes, birth date, and place confirmed across Wikipedia, official biography, and multiple astrological databases. Time is unknown. AstroSeek creates XX from Wikipedia, place standardized to Scarborough, Toronto area. No Rodden rating. Entry located in the Astro Databank at the time of completion. So now we're going to look at the Noon reference chart. The planetary framework here. Positions calculated 4:12 EST, February 28, 1985, Scarborough, Toronto. Inner planets and luminaries except the moon are relatively stable. Moon's daily motion requires a working range of roughly adding and subtracting 6 or 7 degrees from the noon position. So we see, for example, the body, sun, the longitude at noon, 10 degrees 04 Pisces. The rectification signature notes core identity, adaptive, empathic, artistic, boundary dissolving. Moon, 17 through 18 degrees Gemini, tight square Mercury in opposition Uranus, so restless mind, rapid emotional shifts, need for variety and voice. Mercury, 18 degrees 14 Pisces, part of mutable T-square with Moon, Uranus, intuitive, poetic, sometimes scattered communication. Venus at 19 degrees 09 Aries, conjunction Mars, 0 degrees 12, passionate, direct, assertive, relational, and aesthetic style, punk pop drive. Mars at 19 degrees 23 Aries, fused with Venus, high energy, competitive, self-starting, creative force. Jupiter at 4 degrees 54 Aquarius, square Pluto, expansive yet disruptive growth, social collective ideals. Saturn at 28 degrees 05 Scorpio, late Scorpio, intense self-mastery, loyalty test, transformative structure. Uranus at 17 degrees 46 Sag, opposition Moon, square Mercury, sudden breakthroughs, rebellion, independence. Neptune at 3 degrees 16 Capricorn, idealism grounded in ambition, artistic vision with career structure. Pluto, 4 degrees 36 Scorpio, retrograde, deep, regenerative power, square Jupiter, themes of power, rebirth, intensity. And Rahu at 22 degrees Taurus, soul direction towards stability, embodiment, value, self-worth. Chiron at 3 degrees 28 Gemini, wound and healing through communication, voice, dual identity. So what we see is the dominant pattern, mutable T-square, Moon opposite Uranus, both square Mercury, as well as Venus-Mars conjunction in Aries that supplies the punk rock engine. Pisces Sun and Gemini Moon creates the emotional intellectual duality that fuels her songwriting. And this video isn't going to be too very long because there's only a few pages we're going to get into, but still here to help you understand rectification to a certain extent. So here's the weighted biographical event catalog. Date, period, event, weight, angular focus. So for E1 we see 2000 through 01, age 15-16. Early demos, Jive Records offered declined, wanted rock, not pure pop R&B, the weight being high. Angular focus is midheaven, Uranus, 10th, and Sun. E2. Early 2003, Showcase Island Def Jam signing Luar Cohen, Jeff Fenster, very high. MC Jupiter, Uranus. E3, December 9th, 2003, debut album, self-released. Heat Seekers #1, very high. MC 10th, Venus, Mars. E4, 2003-05. Multiple top 10 Canadian singles, Juno nominations, Timberlake tour support, very high. MC Jupiter, Ascendant. E5, 2005-06. Sunday Left Shelved. Creative Conflict drop from label, high. Saturn, Pluto, ICMC axes. E6, November 22nd, 2010. Joy Release Ghost, Saturn Can't Breathe Heads, very high. MC Venus, 5th, 10th. E7, September 27th, 2019, that merged to Yellow Wolf. Nashville, high descendant 7th Venus, E8, 2022 through 23 return singles, emotion sickness, high MC Uranus node, and E9, 2023, public discussion of marital strain, divorce process status fluid, and moderate 7th Saturn and Pluto. So you see that the 2003 breakthrough cluster E2 through E4 and the 2010 return E6 are the strongest angular tests, while the 2005 through 06 label rupture E5 supplies a Saturn Pluto to angles checkpoint, and marriage E7 tests the descendant. Multi-technique rectification protocols. So here's a summary. Apply solar arcs as well as secondary progressions, especially that progressed moon, primary directions, and outer planet transits to candidate angles. And score each major event. Require convergence of at least 3 techniques before elevating a time window. Characterological filter, public persona shows high energy, emotional transparency, rebellious edge, dual racial cultural identity, and sustained creative reinvention, consistent with strong Aries, Gemini, Pisces, and Uranus signatures already present in the planetary framework. Working hypothesis candidate time window. So same thing we actually did for Tracy Chapman in my other video. Hypothetical working window, classroom model only, late morning to early afternoon, approximately 10:30 through 13 EST model, time used for demonstration 11:48 EST, adding subtracting 20 to 30 minutes uncertainty. The approximate angles apply to this Toronto area. Ascendant equals mid to late Gemini, moon ruled, communicative, dual, restless public face matching Gemini moon. Midheaven equals mid to late Aquarius, early Pisces, innovative collective, artistic career signature. Descendant equals Sagittarius range, exploratory, freedom-oriented partnerships, and IC equals Leo Virgo cusp, creative roots, performance drive. This window allows the 2003 Uranus-Jupiter activity and 2010 Saturn-Uranus themes to contact the midheaven ascendant axes with workable orbs, while keeping the strong Gemini moon angular or in a communicating house. Alternative windows, for example Scorpio Aries rising, remain playable for comparative classroom scoring. Some rationale highlights we see Gemini rising amplifies the already powerful Gemini moon, immutable T-square, explaining rapid verbal creative output and media fluency. Aquarius Pisces midheaven supports the outsider and pop-up positioning and later reinvention. Faculty should run parallel hypothesis and rank by total event convergence. So here's the faculty teaching protocol condensed. State data rating and uncertainty explicitly before any time you work. Weight events independently, prioritize precise day, career, and relationship markers. Generate greater than 3 rising sign hypothesis score with identical orbs and techniques. Isolate techniques first and build combined matrix. Publish a working window, never a single unverified minute when data are XX. Ethical framing, living artist rectifications are research tools, not public facts. And document software, house system, no type, and orb settings for reproducibility. Alright, we're going to look at these appendixes. So first is the album discography, overview, and astrological framing. So following analysis treat each album as creative transit snapshot relative to the fixed planetary framework, Pisces Sun, Gemini Moon, Aries Venus Mars, mutable T-square. And we notice that song level notes link lyrical themes and emotional tone to planetary signatures. All comments are pedagogical illustrations, not claims of precise timing. So we have our self-titled album, for example, released December 9th, 2003, core signature pop punk breakthrough, adolescent rage and longing, with the dominant planetary echo being Venus, Mars, Aries, and Uranus opposition Moon. So we see Sunday Love album, shelved 2005-06, but it was digital. It was released as digital in 2012. More vulnerable, experimental, industry rupture, Saturn, Pluto tension, and Neptune idealism. Joy, November 22nd, 2010, Polish return, empowerment, and heartbreak balance. Jupiter recovery, Venus, Mars reassertion. Emotion sickness, September 29th, 2023, Metro rock return, love, excess release. Uranus node reactivation, and Saturn lessons. And now we see, for example, starting with the self-titled album from 2003, song-by-song analysis, debut album written largely in the mid-teens, themes of control, escape, sexual pressure, absent father, and defiant self-assertion map cleanly onto Aries, Venus, Mars, assertion, desire, fight, and the Moon, Uranus opposition, need for freedom, sudden emotional exits. So we see song is super little love song, opening statement of longing mixed with self-aware irony. Pisces Sun, idealism meets Gemini Moon, verbal agility, the stupid qualifier is classic immutable detachment, protecting vulnerability. Bye Bye Boyfriend, signature kiss off anthem, pure Venus, Mars, and Aries, decisive severance, competitive energy, public declaration of independence, Uranus opposition Moon supplies the abrupt emotional cut. Take Me Away, yearning for escape and transport, strong 9th house, Uranus flavor, Geographic or psychological flight, Mercury in Pisces gives the dreamlike quality of the plea. Everything, fan favorite ballad of total emotional offering. Pisces Sun and Neptune undertone the desire to give everything, reflects boundary dissolution typical of the solar sign. Rock it till you drop it. High energy physical release, Mars and Aries, direct expression. The body as instrument of catharsis. Revolution, song, social and personal uprising. Aquarius, Jupiter, adding Uranus signature. Collective change, language filtered to adolescent urgency. Kiss Me Fool, seduction laced with self-awareness of folly. Venus, Mars, heat tempered by Gemini moons, no one commentary. Unforgiven, we went for a ride. Resentment and unfinished emotional business. Scorpio, Saturn, Pluto resonance, holding the charge, refusing easy absolution. We went for a ride, it's narrative of a journey that ends in dissolution. Mutable signs, restlessness. The ride itself is a Gemini Uranus need for movement. Give it up. Demand for surrender, own or others. Aries darkness, power dynamic under Venus Mars conjunction. Julia, character study projection, Mercury and Pisces storytelling capacity. Possible third, seventh house relational mirror. 8x10, image memory in a small frame moment. Saturn's crystallizing function, holding a fixed picture of what was. Don't go, girls and boys. Plea against departure, gender-inclusive heartbreak. Moon and Gemini's dual awareness of both sides of the relational equation. Rainbow, brief closing image of hope after storm, classic Pisces solar afterglow. And Sunday Love, recorded in the aftermath of sudden fame and during rising conflict with the label. The album's eventual shelving itself is a classic. Saturn Pluto career rupture signature, lyrically more introspective and experimentally textured than the debut. As a blonde, identity experiment and surface transformation, Gemini moon shape-shifting, Uranus desire to disrupt expected image, as well as in the Kissa. And If I Was God, these kind of like go hand in hand. Gender play and role inversion. Strong Mercury, Gemini, verbal agility, mutable T-squares, interest in dual perspectives. Don't let it go to your head. Warning against ego inflation after success. Saturn and Scorpio's cautionary voice, power must be metabolized, not inflated. Get you off, this is my life. Reclamation of agency and bodily creative autonomy. Venus, Mars, insistence on self-ownership after external pressures. Scar, permanent mark of injury and survival. Pluto, Saturn signature, the wound that becomes part of identity structure. Misvicious, persona of controlled aggression. Aries, Mars given a named character, playful yet pointed. Mammy's boy, get over me. Relational power shifts and the demand to be released from another's fixation. Descendant, 7 themes under stress. Whole, emptiness after loss or extraction. Pisces, solar sensitivity to absence, emotional vacuum. The initiator, yeah, and be strong. Agency, affirmation, and resilience. Closing movement from reactive to proactive stance. Jupiter and Mars, recovery tones. And now we're going to look at Joy. Return album after the label rupture, more polished production, continued emotional directness, and a noticeable maturation in relational language. Hits Ghost and stuttering reassert commercial power while retaining the core Aries Gemini Pisces signature. So Ghost, haunting presence of an ex, inability to fully exercise. Neptune Pisces residue, adding Scorpio depth, one of her most commercially successful tracks. Thanks for nothing, sarcastic gratitude for relational failure. Gemini Moon's verbal wit serving Aries directness. Stuttering, nervous system overload, and attraction, Mercury Uranus tension made literal, speech itself becomes a symptom of desire. Can't breathe, featuring orientality, suffocation, and intensity, guitars, Mars expression, high physical and emotional pressure signature. UBI, TCH, didn't see you coming, confrontational enemy and shock of unexpected impact, Uranus opposition moon, sudden relational lightning. Watch me move, I want you, I'm a lady. Self-presentation, desire, and claimed identity, Venus, Mars, and Node in Taurus, themes of embodiment and self-worth. In your touch, set me free, joy. Sensory intimacy, liberation demand, and the title track's hard-won information, closing arc from entanglement toward chosen lightness. And emotion sickness. First full album in 13 years, themes of excess, addiction to feeling, romantic ambivalence, and hard-earned release. Title itself is a clinical diagnosis of the mutable T-squares, lifelong emotional intellectual intensity. Mature rock production with retained punk edge. Hungover, physical and emotional aftermath, Saturn Mars residue, the body keeps the score access. Fucking in love, unapologetic, almost clinical declaration of being overcome. Venus Mars still fierce, Gemini Moon names the state without romantic filter, shut up and kiss me. Demand for action over talk, classic Aries, Venus Mars impatience with verbal delay. Too late, timing, regret, and irreversible thresholds, Saturn's chronological judgment. Recharge my heart, request for renewal after depletion. Note in Taurus, Venus themes of restorative value. I can't love him and love you too, explicit dual loyalty crises, Gemini Moon's capacity and cost of holding two emotional realities, 7th house tension. Dancing for me, someone new, Self-generated pleasure and the possibility of fresh attachment. Uranus freedom impulse, balanced by desire for connection. Let her go. Closing release instruction, possibly self-directed. Pisces solar compassion meeting Scorpio Saturn's necessity of endings. So here we see a cross-album thematic synthesis for the faculty across 2 decades. The same planetary engine is audible. Versus Aries, Venus, Mars applies the confrontational, desirous, self-assertive core, while Gemini, Moon, and Mercury, Uranus, T-square generates rapid emotional processing, verbal precision, and restlessness. Pisces, Sun, and Neptune provides romantic idealism and boundary permeability that both fuels the love songs and creates the vulnerability that requires the Aries armor. Saturn, Pluto, and Scorpio has the capacity for deep loyalty, deep injury, and deep regeneration after rupture. The career arc itself, early explosive success, mid-decade industry trauma, 2010 recovery, long silence, 2023 return, is a textbook outer planet and angular story. Faculty can use the 4 albums as successive progressed charts of the same natal metrics under different transit weather, training students to hear planetary signatures and lyric, arrangement, and public narrative simultaneously. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something about astrology, and I'll see you in the next one. Piscean out.